Tonight, sparks fly in Supreme Court over controversial LGBTQ case as Chief Justice spars with lawyer for Speaker of Parliament Alban Babing. On day, the Attorney General made a push for the Apex Court to allow cameras within the court on a more regular basis.
Sorry.
No, my lady, I've got it right.
You can hear me very well.
Yes, my lady.
You appreciate the pickle we are in.
Yes, my lady.
You filed an affidavit on the 15th of... Please hold on. Don't interrupt me. Please.
Oh, yes, my lady.
Always wait for me to lie.
Yeah, I'm not going to say.
We'll hear tonight from the Attorney General, who is making a case for the media.
To avoid any undue misrepresentation of facts is to ensure transparency. Let the public indeed have unhindered access to it. Proceedings to the court, of course, in terms of the Constitution and the Court Acts, are open to the public. But the public goes way beyond the number who can enter the courtroom.
More from the Supreme Court, which has asked Richard Sky to file a fresh motion for injunction and directing Speaker of Parliament's lawyers to withdraw some processes and file them again.
It's necessary to say this. Mr. Sorry, some of the material in your affidavit is extremely intemperate. Do well not to introduce such material.
I'm most grateful, my lady. Sometimes you respond to what comes from the other side.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
Well, sparks went flying today in the Supreme Court over the controversial LGBTQ case, as the Chief Justice was left sparring with a lawyer for the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Babing. Well, it also happened on a day when we saw a strong push to allow the live telecast of high-profile cases that go before the courts to increase transparency. The Chief Justice accepted a recommendation by the Attorney General, Godfrey Adame, to allow a live telecast of the cases filed against the anti-LGBTQ case, now two of which were at the Supreme Court today. Godfrey Adame says this is crucial in the interest of transparency. More from the Attorney General pretty shortly, but first, member of our Legal Affairs Desk, Kweku Asante, sat through the proceedings, and many of you are now beginning to appreciate what has happened in court, and so I want to go through what we witnessed before the Supreme Court today. An unprecedented day, really. First time the cameras were let into the Supreme Court on the case which is not a presidential election petition. Kweku Asante is with me. So we expected this injunction application to be dealt with, but some technicalities came up. Why has Tadio Sori, who, by the way, is a lawyer representing the Speaker of Parliament, been asked to withdraw his affidavit and file another one?
Well, so in some of the affidavits that were filed in court that had the seal of Tadio Sori's law firm on it, the persons who deposed the affidavit used some pretty strong words in the opinion of lawyers for Dr. Amanda Odoi, and an opinion the Attorney General himself agreed with, and the Supreme Court ultimately also agreeing with. They were described as scandalous, intemperate. Those were the words that were used to describe these. And the court found favor in those arguments and asked Tadio Sori to withdraw those processes that he had already filed in court, refile fresh ones that do not contain those words that have been described as scandalous.
It's necessary to say this. Mr. Sori, some of the material in your affidavit is extremely intemperate. So I know they are not your affidavit, especially the affidavit of Mary Wendy Yeboah, which you have now withdrawn. Do well not to introduce such material.
I'm most grateful, my lady. Sometimes you respond to what comes from the other side, and that's the reason. But I'm taking cue. When they take a shot at you, you throw something back.
Had reservations about much of the language in the affidavits of your deponents, which carry the stamp of your law firm and your name.
Oh, is it?
Each of these affidavits has your name at the bottom.
Yes, my lady.
For instance, In the supplementary affidavit, this use of the language have deliberately, which paragraph is it? Have deliberately, paragraph 12, have deliberately suppressed the fact that the concerns raised by the letter which they flaunt before the court is intemperate. You're a very senior lawyer.
Yeah,
Mr. Ting. You're a very senior lawyer. What is particularly despicable and a definite desecration, just, you can hear me. Unless you want to do this. But I'm sure, that's why I say you're a very senior lawyer.
It was obvious at the start there that something was brewing between the Chief Justice and Tadio Sori. And we're not surprised later on when this blew up. It became almost like a standoff. At one point, the Chief Justice consistently, for at least a minute, asked him to sit down.
And Tadio Sori was on his feet for so many of those occasions because he wanted to make a certain point. And the Chief Justice wanted him to take a cue from the bench. He did not. He insisted on making the specifics of his case. It all came up when lawyers for Richard Alaska wanted to seek the leave of the court to amend their reliefs. Tadio Sori said that was irregular, and he was on his feet to oppose that. There was some back and forth between him and the Chief Justice who was presiding over the court.
I'm sorry.
No, my lady, I've got it right.
You can hear me very well.
Yes, my lady.
You appreciate the pickle we are in.
Yes, my lady.
You filed an affidavit on the 15th of... Please hold on. Don't interrupt me. Please.
Yes, my lady.
Always wait for me to land.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything.
Your substantive application, affidavit before us, is dated the 2nd of April. Listen, let me land. If you had just waited to understand my words instead of rushing to justify yourself, you would have admitted that you didn't have a formal notice to object.
My lady, it's
a lawyer, like yourself, you found yourself muddled up this morning. Yes, you have. A lawyer files. I can see what his difficulty is. When you read, you can see he left out some words. You chose to denigrate that what happened in his expressions by describing it as muddled and confused. And the man now wants to correct himself by expressing it fully. And you say you have a preliminary legal objection.
Yes, my lady.
Where is the legality?
The legality lies in the fact that the motion paper invokes the jurisdiction of the court. And if there is an irregularity on the face of the motion paper, which I am pointing out as the foundation to which I am not accepting what he has filed.
No, hold on.
Yes.
Which motion paper?
His motion for injunction.
The man is not seeking... Hold on.
Yes.
Whenever I start, stop.
Oh.
You are going to interrupt me.
Very well.
Then you wouldn't hear what I have to say to you.
Very well, my lady. That once there's an objection taken to it, you cannot overreach that objection with a proposal to amend.
Hold on.
So that's all I'm drawing the court's attention to.
Stop there, Mr. Stop there.
Yes,
stop there. Now, if you had given a formal notice, anyone would have known. But in your affidavit, you only described your opinion.
No, what I found
that's not a preliminary legal objection.
Well, maybe it is not stated that it's stated as an opinion, but what I was stating what I found objectionable about it. And this court has also said that I don't even need that formal notice, that I can get up when he's about to move and take that preliminary objection. Trustees of the Synagogue Church of all nations. And the strain of them from the court that I didn't need.
Mr. Sorry, I'm not impressed by what you're doing.
Very well,
but just finish it.
I'm sorry. So,
finish it.
So I'm saying that
it's not fair to your friend. I don't think so. But you want to do it, do it.
I'm relying on the authorities from this court to take my preliminary objection, that I'm entitled to take it just when he's about to move it.
So just do it.
And my second point is that...
No, what is your first point?
Based on the practice that we all took you from in terms of the court's direction, the Attorney General filed no process indicating his objection to what is scandalous, what please matters of law, this morning in order to enable us all prepared to come and take this point.
I beg your pardon.
There's a second point.
I will not note you down. Thank you.
There's a second point. The second point is that apart from saying they are scandalous and all, which are the words that are scandalous, which ones plead matters of law? So if my lady would, or if the court would exercise its
Can
power,
I manage my court?
Oh, I was just making a submission.
Can I manage my court?
Very well, my lady.
Thank you.
Well, I was just making submissions to assist the court.
Now, back to the decision to allow a live telecast. This was a big deal for us journalists. Yes. But what about the parties? How did they react?
Well, lawyer for Richard Alaska says he does not have any opposition to that idea. He believes that it will increase transparency. It will actually reduce the misreportage of court proceedings.
Our courts have nothing to hide, especially in this country. These constitutional matters are best placed in public domain so that everybody will hear and understand, to stop some of these speculations we have all around us. It puts an end to this making rounds of stories. We sometimes sound very strange when you are in court because they are not actually what happened. So all yours when it comes to putting these things in the airspace for everybody to hear and see. It saves even us as lawyers because we belong to other social groupings and questions are asked every now and then about what transpired in court. So due to save me from the numerous explanations people may require from me.
But the AG wants more?
Yes, the Attorney General says the Chief Justice must actually relook at the decision where they do not allow live telecast of such cases. He says there are so many high-profile cases that continue to come to the court, both the Supreme Court and other courts. The court must aim towards the era where they allow a live telecast.
If you recall, about 2 years ago, one of my speeches to the Ghana Bar Association actually made a point that indeed, if the media were to have full and unhindered access to proceedings and all, it becomes so clear to the general public that when rulings are given by the court, they're actually on account of principles of law, and indeed most of the rulings of the court are right. I have suffered a lot personally in terms of the misrepresentation of court rulings and deliberate misrepresentation of what I say in court and what I do and all that. So I thought that the best way to avoid any undue misrepresentation of facts is to ensure transparency. Let the public indeed have unhindered access to it. Proceedings to the court, of course, in terms of the Constitution and the Courts Act, are open to the public. But the public goes way beyond the number who can enter the courtroom. So I think that a proper interpretation of the Constitution and all that would really require that when some of these politically sensitive matters and matters of enormous public interest come up for hearing, indeed, the media ought to have full access. It doesn't have to be only the presidential election petition, which occurs every 4 years or so, that the media should be able to cover. And I'm very, very grateful to Her Ladyship, the Chief Justice, for in no time acceding to my request and all. And I think that all I wanted to achieve was to ensure that people do not misrepresent what goes on in the court. They see exactly what went on. And today you saw it. So the process filed by some lawyers very defective and all that. And indeed, in such circumstances, if the court were to rule against them, nobody should be surprised. Many a time, people lose on account of violations of the rules of court themselves, and then they go out there and say that justice or injustice was meted out to them. We see clearly arguments advanced by both parties for and against every application that is made in court, and of course, usually the court graciously, even sometimes, bends its way to overlook certain rules of the court and even allow the applications. And so we saw justice in action today.
Attorney General there, Godfrey Ibadame. Well, this case, in fact, the two cases, they all have to do with the LGBTQ bill. And remember that bill is a private member's bill. One of the sponsors of that bill, Roxing Nelson Defiamepo, joins us right now on the line. Himself a lawyer. Roxing, thanks for your time here on Top Story. You watched this on full. You watched this on full today. Your reaction?
Yes. First of all, we are in a hole. We are. The Public Accounts Committee, we are doing our regional tours and interrogating the Auditor General's report. So I couldn't get the opportunity to attend court, but I monitor proceedings. And you see, I love what happened today. Let's understand the history of our courts, especially the Supreme Court has been a very conservative one. So, but from about the time, for instance, when I began practice effectively from about 2010, there were moves towards making the court proceedings more open, more media friendly. And so we're hoping that by now, for instance, the court will have a well-functioning website where its proceedings could be monitored live from the website. The court by now should have a very active functioning Twitter account where decisions and rulings could be summarized by very highly trained court clerks who could summarize court proceedings quickly for the consumption of the public. The court, for instance, by now should have a well-functioning, well-set-up Facebook account where the court proceedings and whatever volumes of rulings that are sent out can be uploaded and received by the people. But what happened today is good. It's for the transparency of it. Everybody watched it. We saw what happened. Second, what troubled me is the fact that the speaker, who is a first defender in one of the matters, actually requested for expeditious hearing, and this happened late March. And today it's May. It's about the 8th day of May. So it's taking the court about 6 weeks to accede to a request for expeditious hearing to happen. And I thought that by practice, when such things happen, the court will be in a hurry to deal with the matter. So what does the court do by practice? They would have adjourned the matter to a definitive date. And then within that time frame, ask the parties to pin them to time, to filing the processes that they've directed them to file. So they could say that we are adjourning the matter to say the 30th of May. We are asking maybe the plaintiff, whatever process he wants to file so within 4 days after today. And also upon service on the other parties, the defendant, if they are so minded, to also file 4 days after the service of the process. So by the time the parties and the court is returned to the agenda, there will be no processes outstanding. But what we saw is that the matters have been adjourned for the parties to put their house in order and come back.
Isn't it delaying the process?
And I thought that when the speaker as a party in a matter prays for expeditious hearing, it should matter.
But it's instructive, isn't it? The speaker's lawyer was there and never raised that subject.
Sorry?
The speaker's lawyer was in court today. He didn't raise that
subject.
Yes,
no, but I am making that observation that if I pray the court for expeditious hearing and it's taking about 6 weeks for that to be expanded to life, it bothers me vis-a-vis when the Attorney General made the request to the court that my matter, for instance, be given expeditious hearing. You saw the alacrity with which it was handled. So I'm just opposing these two matters and placing them in context and making this analysis. But be it as it may, we hope that the processes will be quickly filed, and then the court could be set. Then hearing notice will be issued, and then we can return to court quickly.
And whilst this process is ongoing, everybody's watching this unfold very, very closely. Now there's transparency. We're going to be in court. You raise the subject of the indefinite nature of the adjournment. But if you look at what transpired today, though, on the objections that were raised, the rulings that came, you clearly see that, do you not, that the judges are really in charge of what is happening, and they attach a certain degree of seriousness to it, for which reason they've made an exception for the live coverage.
No, but we speak of the Supreme Court. With all due respect and with all, for want of a better expression, we are not speaking of proceedings before any other lower court but the Supreme Court. This is where the best law, the best reasoning in the law, the best jurisprudence is espoused. And so the judges, of course, are always in charge of what happens in our court, and especially the Supreme Court. So I am fine, but just that my observation is in respect of the matters that I raised before you, that I thought that they could have adjourned to a definitive day within which the parties could have put their house in order and filed the necessary process. And then when that date comes, the court would have made a determination.
Roxy Nelson Defemepo, thank you very much. He is a co-sponsor of the Anti-LGBTQ bill, which is a subject now of that Supreme Court hearing. I want to bring in right now Suleiman Abraham, he's Executive Director of the Media Foundation for West Africa. Albert Kwabena Jumfo is a GJA president. As you've just heard there, Roxy Defemepo makes the point that the decision by the Chief Justice to agree that we can put the cameras in that call so we can bring you live coverage is one that needs to continue. The Attorney General is actually pushing that this becomes the norm. I'm grateful, Suleiman Abraham, for your time, and Albert Jumfo too. So let me start with you. I mean, we all watched this unfold. We've not seen this before if it wasn't the election petition case. Do you agree at least with the Attorney General who says we should make this a standard practice in our courts now? When it's a huge matter of national interest, allow the media in and allow the cameras in too.
Well, Evans, I think that is a good call. The question or the debate about whether cameras should be allowed in the courtrooms is a long-standing debate. In the U.S., for example, there are very serious proponents who say, look, matters happening in the courtrooms are of public interest, and therefore whatever steps that can be taken to ensure that the public have full access to deliberations should be put in place. But there are also others who strongly oppose that view with reasons including the fact that, look, there are some judges who may not be comfortable with cameras. There are witnesses who would appear, and if there are cameras, they will feel jittery. And others have said, look, the inclusion or the presence of cameras have led to witnesses behaving in a certain way that then reduces their credibility before judges and so on. And in fact, in the U.S., there have been a case, I think it was 1964 or 54, where eventually a case was overturned by the Supreme Court, and the main basis was the fact that there was camera presence that affected, the testimonies and the behavior of other people. And so eventually the case was overturned. But since then, I think that there have been some progress. In a number of states in the U.S., they say, well, cameras can be allowed in very high-profile cases. And if you look at the UK Supreme Court, which surprisingly, is a very recent establishment, replacing what they had, which was an appellate cause of the House of the Lords or something like that. Since 2009, they have installed cameras in the courtrooms to say, look, we want all cases recorded, and the recordings are made available to the public, because whatever we are doing is in the interest of the public. The public must know, they must follow it. But I think that still doesn't take away the fact that, look, there are witnesses who would not be comfortable with cameras. There are judges who would not be comfortable with cameras. Others have said some lawyers, once there are cameras, would even grandstand in the courtroom and behave in certain ways that, undermine court protocols and so on and so forth. In our context, I think that is a good thing, at least for high-profile cases of this nature. It will be good to have, live coverage as we are having in this case, or the elections petition. But that, I believe, also imposes some responsibility on us, the media, on how do we present these things or capture these things to our audiences in such a way that it's professional, it doesn't affect the processes in courts, and it doesn't, present any situation where judges may say, well, if we continue this, it is going to undermine justice delivery in our country. So there are pros and cons, but I think that I'm for it, at least for high-profile cases.
And Albert Jumfo, the president of the GJ, you agree with that?
Okay, I think that Evans, for me, yes, I totally agree with your question that this is really is a good one for Ghana's democracy. I have mentioned this morning in Joy News that look, the public is supposed, or the public is entitled to whatever happens in our court, because the court is a public place, and for that matter, whatever happens is for the public good. And you see, we find ourselves in a state, in a country where there's so much suspicion, where there's some kind of doubt, even in our judicial system. People could therefore sit back and then, should I say, suggest or make conclusions of ruling of a case, and it will come to pass. It will be the same thing. And so, if we have not only high-profile cases or constitutional cases, this is a matter that has generated public discourse, public interest in the past few weeks or the past few months. It has really even created what we call the power play between the executive and the legislature. This is a matter of interest. This is a matter where we feel that the larger or maybe the Ghanaian community are all interested to actually know as to whether Parliament really did what is right or Parliament did not do what is right. And for me, I think there's no argument. It helps to deepen our democracy. It helps to also inform the citizens. Citizens get to know whatever. It could be that, from what my good brother Sule said, they could face cameras, or should I say, is there secret cameras in the courtroom that could record proceedings that wouldn't really be visible to actually create some kind of maybe fear or hatred in witnesses and so whatsoever. And once it is done, we could have access to a server that will help us stream live through national television or whatever media platform. That could be that. Maybe the fact that maybe cameras are fake there. Sometimes when people are before cameras, they become hatred, which I agree with him on that. We can do it in such a way that people will not even feel the presence of cameras, but yet the citizens and the public will still get to see, get to view, get to watch whatever transpire there. For me, it's really a good cause. It is for a good reason, and it's for the good of the people of this country. Because even in this era, when we have RTI Act or law, we're still struggling to access or get information. There are instances where even judgment or maybe cases, you want to get ruling on particular cases, you even apply and you will still find it difficult to get it. And so when such cases of interest, such cases of national interest for that matter, come up and the media is discussing, or maybe the public wants to know whatever transpire, I believe if we make it public and we follow
as
procedures.
it is now, it's been applied on a case-by-case basis. But the argument is we need to get to a place where this is the norm. That will require...
Can you please come again?
Just a second. I'm making the point, if you can hear me, that as it is now, there is a real push and a real desire now to get this to become the norm. Instead of being applied on a case-by-case basis. That will require some level of advocacy, right? From the GJA's point of view, I mean, the Attorney General has hinted that this is something that he requires. Are you ready to partner him and make this
We will fully support the Attorney General on this course. The GJA will not hesitate supporting the Attorney General. I said it's a good cause. For us, anything in the interest of the public. As a fourth estate, what is our rule? One of our rules is to be the watchdogs of the people's rights. And if the public really is interested in such a matter, as I indicated, aside constitutional matters and other things, this matter has generated national discussion, national discourse, or whatsoever. And so, and it has even created some kind of hard blood between the executive and the legislature. We've seen the exchanges, and we've seen even a call from the majority calling on the speaker to reconvene parliament and all that, and the brouhaha. It's all due to this cause. So I believe that this is a matter of national interest. And for me, aside that, if we want to make all high-profile cases or all other cases public, we want to, like what the Attorney General is saying, you want to lead the charge and engage the Chief Justice to make sure that at least it becomes, whether a convention or a law or whatever, which is acceptable by the people or by all stakeholders, we will support this advocacy. And I can tell you that it will really help to eradicate the kind of doubt, should I say, doubt people have in our court. There's so much doubt. People,
and you're right on that. And just a quick word to Sule. Sule, Do you raise a point about responsibility? Once we embark on this particular journey, advocacy is brought to bear, and this becomes a norm. Are you confident that the Ghanaian media is mature enough to have this become a norm that will not be abused? Because we've seen in the past, and the reports are abound, that irresponsibility is still an issue that is flagged in a lot of the media reports. You think we are ready, Sule?
Well, Evans, I think that it's an important conversation to have, but we need to also be very real. The courtrooms are not, let's say, places like Parliament. Courtrooms are about law, about evidence, and so on. And those of us who are non-lawyers, sometimes we look at issues from logical point of view, from what makes common sense and all of that. But lawyers will tell you it's not about what is emotionally appealing, what is, values on face value quite attractive, and so on. And so if you look at the elections petitions, the two of them, and I believe even in this case, the decision has been that, yes, live stream or live coverage, but it must be GBC, and then others can pick feed from GBC. I think it's a cautionary step that is taken to ensure that the processes are well guided. If we want to get to a point where we say it becomes a norm, whether at the Supreme Court, Appeals Court, High Court, if the media are willing and interested to come and cover issues live, the courts are happy to do so. It will also mean that we need to have proper conversations, proper processes on what steps must be taken. Agreements must be reached between what is allowed within the realms of the judiciary and what the media can do and what our ethics would allow. I don't think that it will be proper for all of us to just say, okay, yes, advocacy, let all courtrooms be open to media, and then we say from next month, every court case, the media can go there and cover it. Remember that we are in a country where when people are being prosecuted, before you realize it is given a political twist. Oh, so this person is doing this because he's an MPP person or he's an NDC person, or a judge is branded an NDC judge, an MPP judge, a lawyer is MPP lawyer, NDC lawyer. I think we have to come to a point where we say, look, the law is the law. It is not about MPP or NDC, because our media is highly polarized, and you cannot vouch for what people would do. And in order not to undermine justice delivery, and in order to ensure that our justice system would be one that we all would trust, yes, it would be good to have the cameras in the courtrooms, but we need to, first of all, get the fundamental processes outlined.
Sule, thank you very much. It's Suleiman Abrahima, the Executive Director of the Media Foundation for West Africa, Albert Kwabena for GJA President. Still ahead here on News Night.
Just when day one's technical challenges were largely resolved, there have been accusations of busing in some parts of the country on the second day of the limited voter registration exercise.
We got an intel that the MPP's candidate is busing some individuals precisely from Achin Wenchi.
We're live in some of these areas, plus hear from the Electoral Commission also tonight.
It was important for me to issue a public apology, and I assured the committee which we met yesterday that it was something I was not worried about to do it.
GJA had to take a decision on media blackout placed on Member of Parliament for Yendi Farouk Aliyu Mahama, even though he's rendered an unqualified apology for attack on a City FM Northern Regional correspondent during the MPP's parliamentary primary.
We haven't taken a decision yet. We are yet to meet. The partners were there. We have the Media Foundation for West Africa. We have GIBA. We have the Print Park.
We'll get to hear from the City FM journalist who says he's unaware about the apology. We'll bring you details of that. And much later, states waiting for Polish manufacturers to conduct assessment and valuation of the level of damage done to the wrecked train on the Tema-Impakadan railway line.
The state is now pinning its hopes on the Polish authorities or Polish manufacturers who are expected to fly into Ghana to conduct an assessment.
We'll stay for details from what transpired in court.
And in business, declining prices of some food items slowed April inflation to 25%.
And much later, we'll bring you Champions League action from a location near you. Please do stay for details and more after this break.
And we want to hear from you, 05511111997. Do you agree that allowing the cameras into the court should be a norm? Share your thoughts here on Newsnight.
I get them. I pay them.
Telesale cash.
I get them. I pick them.
Telesale cash.
You get them. I send them.
Telesale cash.
I send them. You get them.
Telesale cash.
I get them. I buy them. I take them. I pay them. I send them.
Telesale cash. Telesale cash.
Experience the ultimate convenience of sending money on Telesale Cash. Sending money from Telesale Cash to Telesale Cash is free. You can also make payments to merchants on all networks. Enjoy best value and total security with Telesale Cash.
Telesale, connecting energies.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHS, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
It's the 3i Africa Summit, where innovation, impact, and investment converge, where technology drives transformation. From the 13th to the 15th of May 2024, heads of state, central bank governors, thought leaders, innovators, investors, academics, and entrepreneurs will converge to unleash Africa's full potential. Discover the power of digital assets, explore the state of digital growth in Africa, and unveil lessons from Africa's central bank digital currency experiments. Engage in discussions on diversity in the creative arts and tech, financing Africa's SMEs, and bridging the digital gender gap. Network with investors, pitch your ideas, and access funding at the 3i Africa Deal Room and Pitchfest. Join us at the Accra International Conference Center as we ignite a fintech revolution for Africa's financial future. Visit 3iafrica.com to register now.
You're also live here on Newsnight. It's on Joy 99.7 FM. This is your election headquarters.
And your election headquarters is made possible by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. CIMA, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, CIMA, AICPA, and CIMA together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants and the German Ozone Medical Center. Alternative therapy, dental wellness, and beauty. We're focusing on day 2 of the limited voter registration exercise.
The woman organized us a chairman from class, so
What you're hearing are voices of some opposition NDC members protesting what they say is the busing of outsiders by the NPP to participate in the limited voter registration exercise in part of the central region. The allegation is not limited to just the central region.
Well, there have been various reports about similar incidents in parts of the northern, the Greater Accra regions as well. At the Cape Coast Municipal Assembly, it took the intervention of security personnel to rescue some people believed to be bodyguards of the Cape Coast North MPP aspirant, Eko Ewusi. Now, Central Region, the correspondent Eric Asante was there and joins us live with some details.
Well, Eric, so let's talk about what exactly happened at the Cape Coast Municipal Assembly.
So Emefa, it took the intervention of the security personnel to rescue
some men believed to be bodyguards of the MPP parliamentary candidates, like indicated by Evans Ekoewusi, in an incident that nearly turned bloody and temporarily disrupted the exercise. The bodyguards were accused by the NDC for being part of a team that was busing people from outside the two constituencies, that is Cape Coast North and Cape Coast South constituencies. They mentioned areas like Praso, Himanlua, Jencha, among several constituencies. It began with war of words by both parties, with accusations and counter-accusations, but degenerated into physical assault. When one man believed to be a member of the NDC began filming the incident, not enthused by the action, a member also identified to be a member of the NPP took the mobile phone that was being used to film the incident, and Emefa, a scuffle ensued between the two, resulting in others joining. So that was what actually happened at the Cape Coast Municipal Assembly.
And how would you say the issue was resolved? You mentioned earlier that it took the intervention of some security personnel on site.
So the man in the center of the affairs, that is the Cape Coast aspirant for the NPP, Cape Coast North aspirant, Ekoesi himself was there. He had to calm some of his supporters. You saw some of the NPP executives also calming their supporters. So initially, it was the various executives trying to calm the situation when the security personnel also came in to make sure the issue was resolved.
Well, that's Eric Asante there reporting from the Central Region on the situation when it comes to busing on day 2 of the limited voter registration exercise.
Well, here in Accra, the opposition National Democratic Congress is also accusing the MPP's parliamentary candidate for Medina constituency, Robert Lamte, of busing people from Achim Winchi in the Eastern Region to register at centers at Medina. Now, during a tour of the Yawaso West, Wogon and Medina constituencies, the NDC running mate, Nana Opoku-Agyeman, Prof, Constituency Secretary of the NDC, Abdul Razak Hussein, warned the MPP to desist from such acts or face your wrath.
Medina, both NDC and MPP, we have coexisted peacefully. We have never had any altercation whenever it comes to this kind of exercises. But until just some few days back, we got an intel that the MPP's candidates is busing some individuals precisely from Achin Wenchi. And all that we would like to send, the message that we would like to send across is, we plead with them. They should remain in their towns and get registered. However, if they decide to go against the laws and come to Medina, we are equally ready for them. Some of them might end up not going back.
Well, Nana Opoku-Agyeman, however, blamed the inadequate public education on elections by the Electoral Commission as a major reason for the alleged busing.
But I also feel that there's something we are missing, and that is consistent public education. Or civic education. It shouldn't happen only because we are going to vote. Then they show us how to vote, which is important. But what I'm saying is that why does that happen? For example, to what end? How do you prevent it? How does a person even being buzzed understand that this is not something I should be doing? Who is there to tell that person that this is the process? There are so many things we need to understand. What is the role of the MP? Is the MP's role to make a road? Why do we vote? All these things must come into the discourse so that we as the participants will understand our roles and understand them very well.
Evans, we've tried to contact Robert Lamte, the NPP parliamentary candidate for Medina, to respond to these accusations. Unsuccessful so far. But in the northern region, there was also chaotic scenes at the Tamale North Electoral Commission office, where the NDC also accused the municipal chief executive for Sanerugu of busing some students. Northern regional correspondent Martina Bugri has also been all over this for us. So, Martina, have we heard from the Sanerugu MC so far about the allegation?
Not yet. But I was there when he walked out from the center of the registration out and said he was leaving to his office. But we are yet to get a response from him. They were able to resolve the issue amongst themselves. They agreed that if they want students to be passed in and register, they sit down as two political parties, so the major parties, the NDC and the MPP, come to a consensus on how to deal with that situation. If they agree to that, then they don't have a problem. That's what the NDC says.
What exactly was the concern about? Is it that these students that were bused to come and register are not from this particular area?
So they are students of Tamale Senior High School, and that is within the Stanerigu constituency. The NDC said they don't have a problem with the students coming to register, but to have them come and skip the queue where others are waiting to have their turn, that is what they are against. And that was the reason why there was this chaos, because they wouldn't allow the students enter into the center to have their registration done.
But aside from this issue, though, how has the second day been?
It's been great throughout the centers that I have visited. They didn't have challenges. The registration was going on smoothly. Except Stanerigu that they raised concern. They said they have just one machine, and they think that one machine is not enough to handle the numbers that were coming in. So they were looking up to the EC. If they could increase the machines for that constituency, probably at least 2, to make it easy and faster for them.
So that's our Northern Regional correspondent, Martina Bugri there.
I want to take it to the Ashanti region now, where applicants were happy the challenges that characterized day one of the limited voter registration exercise had been dealt with. Listen to some of them.
We came early in the morning and the process was going on well. We did everything well, and I thought we would be late, but we are done. So they said we should wait for our food. They will even supply food for us, so they said we should wait for our food.
Oh, they'll be even giving you food?
Yes.
Okay. But then let me ask, I always ask everybody why you decide to get your voter's ID card.
In Ghana, everything depends on democracy, right? So we have to choose our president, and we live in this economy. You have to be wise and choose the president that can help you. So me going into 21 years, I have to vote for the party that I want.
One thing I've noticed is, the guarantor system, you always take most of the queues, but once you come and you have your Ghana card, there is no problem. So far the process has been smooth. That is what I would say.
Okay. So the internet challenges that we were facing yesterday, everything is resolved, like everything is good?
Yeah, everything has been resolved and everything is running smoothly.
And I want to bring in Nana Boakye Dankwa, who has been across the Ashanti regional capital monitoring the exercise there for us. Nana, what's your overview of what happened today? We've heard from those you've spoken to already that they were happy today. What made a difference?
Well, Evans, the EC was able to resolve these technical and internet challenges that affected the process on the first day today. It was a smooth process for these first-time voters who came in to register and then get their voter's ID card. The EC says that they've been able to resolve these issues. Per observation, we did witness that the Asokore Mampo had an instance where there was a 2-hour internet disruption, but then the EC was strict about it, and they came in to make sure that everything was fine. The EC has been raising concerns about political parties bringing in people, busing in people, and saying that it is disrupting the exercise. Aside that, everything in the Ashanti region with regards to the limited voter registration exercise has been smooth.
Thank you very much, Nana, there. And Emefa, already there are calls, particularly by civil society groups, that the Electoral Commission should consider extending the time for the limited voter registration exercise, considering that the stations will not be in one place. At least if you are in a university or in one of those hard-to-reach areas, you have a maximum of 3 days. And if you are in a place like a university, 3 days. If you are in a far-to-reach area, 2 days. The stations will move to other centers. And the Kodeo says it is one that the EC itself, even before IPAC meets, must consider. Listen to Gilfred Isiama with CDD, also works as a lead there for Kodeo.
Well, this is, as they say, early days. We may see a lot of improvement over time. So I don't think it will be fair on our side to judge the Electoral Commission based on what we have seen on the first day. But at the same time, I don't think it will help if the Commission also refuse to make amends, especially in those areas where people were in queue, they couldn't register, and we are very certain that within the 2 days dedicated for this process, those who are even in hard-to-reach areas where it is very difficult for people to get access to the registration centers to register, if the Commission doesn't make any amends and correct the wrongs that have been done to it, I don't think that will also be fair. Some areas that the Electoral Commission communicated that they were going to have this exercise, To our surprise, we sent some observers to the field only to realize that the dates were different from what we had.
Meanwhile, the Electoral Commission has hinted at the possibility of giving that extension if deemed necessary to accommodate all eligible citizens. You can listen to the EC's Director of Electoral Services, Dr. Sribo Kweku, when that extensive conversation on this was had on PM Express last night.
It depends. If at the close of the rotation period, there are a lot of people in the queue, we'll get to know that and we'll address that.
So it is not off the table that the EC, depending on what happens on the third day, would consider an extension of the time.
Just if we are in the people are in the queue, we are finished on the third day, and the people are there, we'll do that. We'll cover them.
Well, that's the EC's Director of Electoral Services there, Dr. Sribo Kweku. Let me bring in the NPP's Director of Research and Elections, Evans Nimako. Many thanks for your company here on Newsnight. So during our checks for today, it appears that the accusation of busing, especially on the part of NPP parliamentary candidates, came up. Really, has this been brought to your attention, and what exactly is the situation from what you have also monitored? Hello, Mr. Nimako.
Hello.
If you can hear me, Mr. Nimako, I'm asking about the allegations of busing today, at least. That's the report we are getting, very widespread. Has that been brought to your attention?
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, at least from the interaction that we've had so far, most of the allegation is that your parliamentary candidates, at least in the central region, we've also had cases in Medina and also in the northern region. Is this an issue that you're going to deal with at the national level? What exactly will be the intervention from the party?
Well, thank you very much once again. I think that this whole registration exercise, because it is being done at the district offices and some selected difficult to reach electoral areas. Definitely people who are of age, people who have not been able to register, will have access to busing to the registration centers. But the New Patriotic Party has not organized any such arrangement for people who are due to be bused to registration centers. We have our agents across all these centers. Day one, we experienced some challenges with network issues. We are expecting that going forward, the EC registration system will work to perfection so that people who are eligible to be registered will go through this exercise. I think that if you've looked at the registration exercise over the years, normally the initial stages of it, you experience some of these hiccups, but going forward, they get to be resolved. We cannot be entertaining issues of challenges of this nature because, lessons we've learned from previous registration must give us enough reasons to step up arrangements going into the future.
I hear you say these acts are not sanctioned by the party, at least at the leadership level. What then will be done, at least? There are some cases that I've told you about, I've brought to your attention. Is there a particular action that will be taken?
Well, we expect that people who are eligible to be registered will go through the smoothly. The EC will give us end of day report. We will get to know how many people will get onto the electoral roll at the close of the 21-day exercise. And then you have a complete register for the 2024 general election. For us as a party, we expect all stakeholders to respect the rules of the game. The challenge we've had in registration exercise has mainly been that of the abuse of the guarantor system. And once we are able to correct these anomalies, we move on without issues.
Mr. Nimako, we are grateful. That's Evans Nimako, is the NPP's Director of Research and Elections.
Well, thankfully, we can speak to Mustafa Gbande with the NDC. He's the Deputy General Secretary for them. Mustafa, happy with the day two?
No. Evans, good evening to our listeners and my colleagues. I think that today is not quite different from yesterday because yesterday we had issues of power and all of that. and then at some point, network issues. Today, it has been very slow after 11 a.m. As of now that I'm talking to you, we have a lot of young people who have queued since morning at various registration centers at the cost of being moved from their ordinary residence to the registration center. As we speak, they would have to be sent back home and then, bringing them back for subsequent days or tomorrow. And Evans, I think that, like my colleague said, we should not be engaging or having these problems because we expect that EC would have learned from subsequent previous registration that would have guided them to improve service up to date. We shouldn't be, recording some of these difficulties. For us to be having this is really a surprise to most of us. But what is even more baffling is that, as the running mate of the NDC have indicated, MPP have targeted some specific constituencies where they are busing people. So the busing have two types.
And where's the evidence to back this?
No, that is why you see all sort of agitations across, because they did same in Medina, same is happening in Kaswa.
But I haven't seen any evidence that it is the MPP doing this.
I cannot provide evidence when I'm granting this interview online, unless I have to send you video evidence. But which is why we are accusing the MPP publicly that even though the law, the CI doesn't, prevent people from being taken or anybody from registering, but the law emphasizes ordinary residents. And so what they are doing is to target constituencies where they cannot win, move people to constituencies where they can win. And we are trying to say that it's not part of the law. They should not do that. We are expecting EC to help enforce what the law is, so that we can have a very peaceful registration exercise.
Will you file a formal complaint then with the EC? And if
yes. I mean, our able election director is already doing that and reporting same to EC. We are also engaging the police on some of these issues. Today in Doma West, the MP there would have to take Hulongs to go and beat students and their headmasters at a registration center today. Even when you call your correspondent, they will tell you.
Yeah, yes, and I, as I speak to you tonight, I don't have the evidence to support the claim you're making, mentioning a specific individual who may or may not have done what you suggest. So until you file this and I verify, we can stay with the substance of your intended complaint, I guess, that you want to file.
Very well, but the records still remain that until we give you evidence of such complaints, the network today have not performed to perfection. We still had network issues and people have not been able to register. We are waiting for Electoral Commission to give us what is the picture, what is going on.
But Mustafa, before you joined us, we heard from some prospective voters who had queued in Ashanti region to register, and they were happy, comparing to what happened yesterday.
That is why we are surprised, because if you go to yesterday, if you go to Volta region, for example, in Ketu South, today the machine was so slow. In Ashanti region, the machine was very fine. And Central region, yesterday, it did function a bit, but today that is not the case. In Western region today, the network has been very bad. They couldn't register much. This is what we don't understand. The same network, why do we have different feedback?
When is the formal complaint hitting the EC's desk?
I mean, as of yesterday, complaints have been made. Regions have made complaints at the regional level, and the national is taking it up to make official complaints.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's Mustafa Gbande there. He's a Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. And Emefa Apawu, there's a statement from the Electoral Commission on some of the other complaints that are coming.
If you notice on social media today, there's a registration slip circulating indicating that a bearer of a registration slip registered at Kaswa in the Central Region. However, the bearer's district is captured as Ayawaso North in the Greater Accra Region. So this error, the EC says, does not appear on the applicant's voter ID card. It reflects on the registration slip, which only serves as a reference should an applicant seek to replace his or her voter card. The error does not affect the eligibility of the voter. And the EC says they are entreating citizens to remain steadfast and repose their confidence and trust in the Commission to deliver on its mandate. And this is about a third statement issued today by the Electoral Commission to correct any impression or however, put out on social media. Let's do business now. And George Riafe, he's getting ready for Champions League action later tonight, but he has business. What's in business, George?
Well, coming up in business, finance lecturer Dr. Benjamin Amwabli's comments by Managing Director Secretary General should put the issue about exit to rest, and also be telling you more on inflation numbers as declining prices or some food items slowed inflation for April to 25%. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, Synthesis Tanks and Pepsodent, Charcoal and Herbal. Let's now settle for the details. Finance lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amwa, has maintained that the latest comment by Secretary General Managing Director should put the matter to rest. Now, the bank's Managing Director at this annual general meeting today described the news about their exit as rumors. But Dr. Amwa says watching the space for the next 1 to 2 years might be very important.
Should anything otherwise take place, we will know. And for a major decision like an exit or a change in shareholdership, it's not something that can be hidden. Definitely, the market will know of it. And so for now, we should just take the word of the MD that these are rumors, and let's wait for about 12 to 24 months. And we'll know what exactly the situation is concerning the ownership structure and the business reorganization that may take place in SG Ghana.
Finance lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amwa. Now, declining prices of some food items on the market slowed April inflation rate to 25%. Now, that's according to numbers released by the Ghana Statistical Service in Accra today. More in this report.
The rate of decline, although marginal, might be the biggest drop since January this year. Food inflation went down by more than 2% to hit 26.8% for April this year. Despite these decline, items like alcoholic beverages, tobacco and narcotic posted the highest jump in its rate of inflation on the market for last month. It was followed by restaurant and accommodation that also witnessed an inflation rate that is higher than the national average recorded. The data showed that inflation rate on items produced locally declined from 26.5% to 25.7%, while imported inflation saw what can be described as marginal decline to 23.5% for April 2024. The Ghana Statistical Service data also showed that tea bag witnessed the highest jump in rate of increase from April 2023 to April 2024. It was followed by ready-made clothes for boys. Upper West region recorded the highest rate of inflation in the country. Inflation rate declining does not mean that price of goods and services are going down, but the rate of increase has slowed this month compared to the same period in last year.
And that is a business desk report. Now, more airlines have expressed interest to engage the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat to facilitate haulage of goods under the trade deal. President of VistaJet Airline Europe, Africa, Philippine Skabrani says that it is impressive for African countries to trade among themselves, hence aiding mobilization of revenue for economic growth. He spoke to James Ishan.
I think that's exactly why we're here. The ability to travel, to be conducting business face to face with your peers. That's really what this agreement is meant to drive. So again, we're offering a set of business tools that allow people to travel efficiently, safely to their next business meetings.
Let's talk about prospects.
In terms of prospects, I mean, we're looking at entrepreneurs, decision makers, companies, government officials, to really people who need, to save time. These assets are really a tool in themselves. They're allowing people to save time to get to where they need to.
Felipe Scalabrani is the president of VistaJet Airline Europe and Africa. Now, Total Energies is anticipating more empowerment of Ghanaian entrepreneurs and innovators in this year's Startup Challenge. Now, this is part of the company's resolve to support job creation and boosting the country's economy. Managing Director of Total Energies, Olufemi Babajide, disclosed this at a media briefing at this year's Total Startup Challenge in Ghana.
Indeed, since the first challenge was launched in Ghana in 2016 to date, Total Energies Ghana has supported 9 winners of the challenges and disbursed over 500,000 Ghana cedis to the winners, granting them coaching and mentorship. These startups have gone on to impact the Ghanaian ecosystem in tremendous ways. As we embark on this new edition, we anticipate even greater contributions from the Ghanaian entrepreneurial ecosystem. Our mission remains clear: to empower visionaries, drive positive change, and shape a brighter future for our communities and continent.
Managing Director of Total Energies Ghana, Olufemi Babajide. Now, EcoBank Ghana has launched its EcoBank Million Gen promo, which seeks to reward loyal customers with about 1 million Ghana cedis, according to the acting head of consumer banking, Taraska. The promo is a way of giving back to customers to enable them navigate the difficult economic times.
At EcoBank, we believe in rewarding our customers anytime we have the opportunity. The first few months of the year have gone by. It's not a really easy environment to be in, but we like to take the opportunity right at the beginning of the year to show our loyal customers that we appreciate the business they do with us. We've come up with what we call the EcoBank Million Gang. And we put that together because we are giving over 1.2 million Ghana cedis in cash and other prizes.
Squire is acting head of consumer banking at EcoBank Ghana. And that's all for Business on Newsnight. Back to you, Evans.
Joe, thank you very much. And I'm still waiting for that bet. There's a big game on
Arsenal, Manchester United
on Sunday.
I think we're going to whip you guys. I think Arsenal's tough game will be against Everton.
In fact, that will ensure that you end the season with zilch. Absolutely.
And where does Manchester United end the season?
We have an opportunity to win the FA Cup, and so in fact we probably would have done better than your good selves, in spite of all the running around and hoping to do something in the EPL.
We perform better than you on the league this season, Mensah.
George Affe, thank you very much. It's still live here on News 90 on Joy 99.7 FM. I want to bring you a few of your messages on our WhatsApp console now. This one from Senna says the authority must work hard to restore the network challenges so that the EC can register more Ghanaians in the country. And that's his thoughts there on the limited voter registration exercise. David in Buzia says, my opinion on the court proceedings streaming live is that it's a good call from the Attorney General and we all need to support him. And this one from Charles, he's in Accra. He says, I strongly support the idea for the media to be allowed to broadcast court proceedings. This is crucial because it could help to diffuse a negative perception about how judgments are pronounced. Fake lawyers will be exposed and biased judges will also be known. To me, it can also help to minimize corruption in the country. And that's Charles Benoni Okine, Greater Accra Regional GJA Chairman, sent us that one. And the final one on the subject, Abuchi Philip from Cater says this time limited voter registration is frustrating. He says to us seriously. And those are a few of your thoughts there on the stories we've been looking at here on News Night.
Now, the Ghana Journalists Association says it's yet to take a decision on the media blackout placed on Member of Parliament for Yendi Farouk Aliu Mahama, even though he had rendered an unqualified apology on the attack on City FM's Northern Regional Correspondent during the NPP's parliamentary primary. Well, the GJA asked media houses to blacklist the legislator earlier this year after Mohammed Aminu Alabira was assaulted. But Farouk Aliu Mahama says he has regretted the incident that happened and apologized to management of City FM.
Had any issues with any journalist. So this is the first time of such issue has happened, and it's a regrettable situation. And it was concluded there, and it went on to say that it was important for me to issue a public apology. And I instructed and I assured the people of the committee which we made yesterday that it was something I was not worried about to do it because I wanted peace to prevail. I have an integrity and a name to protect. So I did that and issued the press release, sent a copy to the GGA, a copy to Primpack, a copy to the city management, and that was the conclusion. And the Minister of Information thanked the GGA, and the GGA is onward going forward to go on with a press conference to do the needful so that we can all have a peaceful resolution to the lifting of the blacklist. So that's what I can say for now.
Okay, but Honorable Adarima, apology no mijidi pass nipa titu sa chawpano ese komano eye ensem training Mohammed
I've written to the management. The management would follow through my apology.
Okay, so enti achawpano kwama management and not
I've written to the management, and the management would follow through.
Well, we've been hearing also from the reporter himself in question, Mohammed Aminu Alabira, and he tells Adum FM that he's unaware of the apology.
We didn't even know such a thing had happened. It was on social media that we saw that. And my boss, just looking at the letter, apart from the heading or the address that it is addressed to CCTV, matter the apology. If you read the content, does the content show? One, I wasn't consulted or reached out to. As to whether they will be meeting GJA or whoever. City is in Accra. I am in Bimbila in the northern regions here. Nobody reached out to me that today this is what we are going to do. Or City, or please come. The man has come to, render an apology or do something. City is not aware. I myself, I am here. Nobody contacted me. I didn't even know until we saw that in the social media. It was management of CCTV that called me. Alabira, how are you doing? I said I am doing fine. So did your friend reach out to you? I said my friend. Yes. Then they mentioned Farouk's name. I said no. He hasn't reached out to me. That did I see what he has gone to do? I said no. So it was that time that prompted me to go on social media, and I saw that he has written something there called apology. No, I am not aware. Nobody reached out to me, and neither the city received anything till date. No.
But the blacklist still remains in force. This is the GJA President Albert Jumfor speaking to the AM show earlier today, talking specifically to Ben Akakpo, saying they will meet to take a decision on the subject.
He came in a delegation led by the Minister of Information Designate, and I think that we haven't taken a decision yet. We are yet to meet. The partners were there. We have the Media Foundation for West Africa. We have GIBA. We have the Primpack. All of us were there. So the Minister of Information Designate, the Deputy Minister was there. Farouk led also, and so we welcome the apology. For me, I think it's long overdue. Farouk should have known that you can't fight the media. This is the
but you see, sometimes when those statements are made, we must also be clear. You can't fight the media, but the media is also not above scrutiny or above correction.
Of course. We agree to that. And that is why, as we even condemn attack on journalists, we have been very proactive in also advising and also preaching professionalism. We have taken the opportunity to caution our members to remain professional.
That's the GJA President Albert Jumfor there. Let me take you to the court. And Polish manufacturers of the wrecked train on the Tema-Mpakadan Railway are expected to fly into Ghana to conduct assessment and valuation of the damage. 4 persons are standing trial for the bizarre incident which occurred when the newly acquired train, which was on a test drive, ran into a packed truck on the railway line. In court on Wednesday, the state argued that the investigations has delayed because the manufacturers are yet to fly in to provide what is potentially the missing piece of the ongoing investigations.
bizarre and curious case of train accident caused by a tracked pack on the Tema in Pakadan Railway. The state is now pinning its hopes on the Polish authorities or Polish manufacturers who are expected to fly into Ghana to conduct an assessment and valuation of the damage caused by the train accident. In court on Wednesday, the lawyer representing the state, Christabel Selma Anafuri, made the argument that that particular aspect of the investigations is very critical to the ongoing case and prayed to the court for an adjournment for the necessary investigations to be done. Lawyers for the accused, on the other hand, Richard Lapo, made the argument that that aspect of investigations, of assessment and valuation by the Polish manufacturers has no bearing on whether or not the court grants bail to his client. The sitting judge, Justice Lydia Mafu, after listening to both arguments, has granted bail up to the tune of 200,000 Ghana cedis with sureties on each of the 4 accused persons.
Now, the Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast, Sir Sam Isonjona, is urging government to position the country to benefit from the 5th industrial revolution that's likely to be powered by AI technologies. There's more from the 4th Consortium of Academic and Research Libraries in Ghana conference that was held at Gimpa.
Academic and research libraries in Ghana is advocating for the integration of artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, and other forms of artificial intelligence tools in library systems across Ghana. This move aims to enhance the efficiency and effectiveness of library operations, including cataloging, search capabilities, user services, and resource management. Businessman and Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast, Sir Sam Jonah, has indicated that the world is probably on the verge of experiencing the 5th industrial revolution, with artificial intelligence becoming a driver of innovation for many countries.
Today, we find ourselves at a critical crossroad. AI is no longer a mere tool, but indeed it is a fundamental driver of innovation across all sectors. The implications and changing challenges of AI extend beyond the confines of our libraries and education institutions. Indeed, it touches every aspect of our society. The global AI market is expected to soar to $190 billion by 2025, indeed growing at an astonishing rate of 36.6% annually. We are perhaps on the brink of a 5th industrial revolution where AI will not just streamline data management and retrieval, but fundamentally redefine how we interact with information itself. In the business realm, companies like Netflix and Amazon are already using AI to predict consumer preferences, revolutionizing the customer experience. For journalists, AI provides tools for real-time fact verification and automates routine reporting, freeing up time for investigative journalism that ensures the integrity of public discourse.
Professor at the Department of Computer Science of the University of Ghana, Ferdinand Kachiriku, says the fundamental traditional roles of libraries will still be functional despite the integration of AI.
As we embrace the possibilities of an artificially intelligent world, let us not lose sight of the fundamental purpose of libraries to inspire curiosity, foster creativity, and promote lifelong learning among learners of all ages and backgrounds.
The consortium believes that the integration of AI into the library system will transform libraries beyond just researching and retrieval.
That's how we end today's edition of Newsnight. We're getting ready for Champions League action. Evans, you know where we're going tonight. I hope you would allow me to go and then watch. You're smiling. You don't say anything.
Because I know where we're going, and I want to take you there. I don't want you to go alone. We're going to a place that you possibly have been before, Heritage Craft Brewery. It's in East Legon. It's going to be the venue for our live broadcast tonight, the clash between record champions Real Madrid and Bayern Munich. Don't miss out on the excitement as these football giants battle for a spot in the final. It's going to be live on Joy 99.7 FM and Hits FM 103.9, your home of the UEFA Champions League. Joy Sports is taking the lead on this, and I love this background music. Emefa Apawu and myself, unfortunately, happen to support a club that probably will take the next decade before we hear this in our stadium at Old Trafford. But it's okay. We'll find one team to support tonight, and we'll be listening here on Joy 99.7 FM. Make sure you do same. My name is Evans Mensah.
I am Emefa Apawu.
You know, I nearly said my name is Emefa Apawu. Enjoy the rest of your evening and stay tuned for that live coverage of